so now we've looked at the toolbars, we've looked at the 30,000 foot view and how to create a new document. Now we're going to actually look how we can embed a photograph into Photoshop. Or how to open a document. So right now I created a document that was a blank document. Notice this has a background layer, so you want to make sure you have your layers open so you can see this. But really the background layer is the file itself. It is the container for everything else that is going to be placed in it, from adjustment layers to shapes to text to other photographs to layer masks. But the background really is the container that holds all of that. So in this particular case, the background is just a white background. But if I open a file into Photoshop, so we're going to look at two different ways to open a file into Photoshop. You can just go to File, Open. So I'm going to File, Open, and I'm going to find a little photo of Moose and my new puppy, and I'm going to open him. But notice now it's not just a white background layer, it is the actual photo itself. So anything that I do on top of this is going to be held in the container that is the background layer. Background layers function a little bit different. They are always locked. Once I unlock them, they turn into just a regular layer that can be reordered, resized, all of that. But I'm going to Command Z that to make sure that we keep that in there. The other thing that we can do when we are opening up a new file, we're going to take another photo of Moose and open him up into directly into Photoshop. Now, if I were to open this right now and I just control clicked on the photograph, the file, so all I did was, and you can right click on the file too if you're using a mouse. I've got my trackpad, so I control click. The default to open the HCIC file, which is Apple's high efficiency file type that they just came out with a year or so ago, that is defaulted to open in the preview application. But I can control click and go to Open With and choose Photoshop, and then it will open directly into Photoshop. So now we've got Moose inside of here. So I'm going to close that one because I'm going to use him in a little bit. And I'm going to click Don't Save. So you can open directly from Photoshop, or if you're in your Finder window, you want to open, but unless it's a PSD file or you've made changes in your operating system to always open TIFF files into Photoshop, or always open HCIC files into Photoshop, it's gonna have its default that came with the operating system. So in this particular operating system, HCIC files open directly into Preview. So from here, I can place an image into this blank document. And remember, the background is the document, so I'm going to be placing it into the container. You have two options for placing an image. So this is not opening, this is placing an image into another document. So I can take a photograph, any GIF file, any TIFF file, any other PSD file, I can put into Photoshop, into an existing document. Now I can place embedded, which means that it's actually making a copy of the photograph or the document and putting those pixels into this document. That's one way. You can also place linked, which means that the file exists outside and I'm seeing a preview of it and I can do certain things to it in Photoshop, but I don't have full functionality when I place linked. But what the benefit of it is is that it doesn't, it's going to use less RAM, so less memory on your computer, and so it's less of a strain. So if I were doing that, let's say I knew I was going to use a picture of moose, but I didn't want to do a ton to it, it was just going to be a photograph or a poster, and I might change the color a little bit or turn it into black and white, then I might place linked. But if I'm going to be doing mass and doing major editing to the photograph, I probably want to go ahead and place embedded. One of the things to note when you place linked is that you must use that. So when I take this file, this PSD file, this demo file, I would need to take any linked file with it. Otherwise, it's not going to have the information to show it. So just like a website needs to have all of the files together, otherwise you break those links. When you link a file in Photoshop, those files need to kind of go together as a group, whether you're printing it or just viewing it on another computer. So I'm going to go ahead. I usually place embedded. I just like that better. So I'm going to place embedded here. And when I place it, it's going to come with this bounding box and the X. That's kind of in your, that means that you are in free transform mode, which allows you to change the size of it. And I'm not holding any modifier keys down, so I'm not holding Shift or Command, and it's just constraining the proportions. But if I hold the Shift key down, then I can distort my proportions. So I can make them fat and wide, skinny and long. I could hold the Command key down and do some distortion to him. So I can do all of that. And then once I'm done, I would hit double click, and then he would be placed, and these and in this particular case, because I embedded it, these pixels actually exist inside of Photoshop. They're not just linked to a document outside of it. So that does increase your file size, so just keep, that's the con of it, but the ease of it is that you never have to worry about making sure you have all your companion files, and you have full functionality of all of your filters and everything you want to do inside of Photoshop, which with a linked file, some of that is limited. Now that doesn't mean that you just I can place a photo inside of another photograph, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go up to File, Place Embedded, and I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to find another photograph to pull from. We'll put these pictures of the soccer team in here, and I can change the size of it and put it in there. So the 2020 crew, or 2019, I guess, fall 2019. Go ahead and click enter. And there we go. We've got two, so we have a photograph inside of the existing photograph. So that's how you place linked, embedded, or open files inside of Photoshop.